Hi, this is the timer countdown tutorial developed in Unity. So I'm just going to take you guys straight back into Unity and show you how this is put together. As you can see, it's now telling us that the game is over. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you guys straight into Unity and we put one of these together. Okay, so let's do that now, guys. Okay guys, back in Unity development environment. So the first thing that I'm going to do now is to actually import my image that I intend to use. So I'm going to drag this down. That is the image right there. Just drag it, drop it right inside the project area here. So that's the image right there. Now, as you can see, the image is just an ordinary image, and here is a PNG image. So make sure it's selected. Go straight into the inspector right here. See where you have the texture type, the default, drop that down, and let's select sprite, 2D, and UI. There we go. As soon as that is applied, you will see an arrow here, just like a playhead arrow. There we go. Look at it right there. And if I click on it, there we go. You have two of those. Now that that is sorted, let's come in here, the hierarchy. Right click on the hierarchy and let's select UI. Select an image. So the image I intend to use, that is it right there. I'm going to change the name of that image to countdown image. There we go. That is the name of my image. You see, with the countdown image selected, I'm going to come in here, the properties of the image or the inspector. You see where we have image right here, the image source. Drag my image and just drop it right in there. There we go. The image is right there. For you to be able to see that very image, you can change your screen to 2D. And once you change it to 2D, there we go. That's the image right there. Okay, while the image is selected, okay, I'm now going to come up here inside the inspector. You see the anchor preset. Click on the anchor preset. I want to make sure it is centered. Alright, so I might as well just click on run and be sure that it's officially centered. There. It's not all that centered, as you can see, so I'm going to just make sure I get it centered. So let's just zoom out a little bit and bring it in. I think it should be centered now. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do now is maybe increase the size of that image a little bit. Let's see, it's about 100 by 100. I'm going to make it 200 by 200. There we go. Alright, so let's run it and see how it's going to look like for now. Let's click on run. There we go, that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to exit out, back into my system here. Now, back to the hierarchy. Right click on the hierarchy again, select UI, and let's select text there. So I'm going to call that countdown text. There we go. Select the countdown text and come right here. I want it to be centered as well, so click on the anchor preset. Make sure it is centered. That is the countdown text there. So I'm going to drag it and just kind of like make sure it covers the image, just like that. Bring it down. Okay, now let's go back into the inspector here. Inside the inspector, we change the font of that countdown text to about, let's see if 80 might not be too big, so I'm going to make it 80 for now, and the text I'm going to just enter 0 in there. Font style, let's make that bold. Now come right down here. You see the alignment, get it centered and centered again. Okay, you can see horizontal center and vertical center. Now one more thing, the color. Let's change the color to something we will be able to see. I'm going to make that red, so that is fine. So that's taken care of. Now that is done, the next thing we now want to do is to right click again on the hierarchy and just go straight to UI. Let's select a panel. There we go, we have a panel there. This very panel, I'm going to drag it and place it right underneath the canvas. Okay, now that very panel, I also want to make sure it is centered. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to kind of like uncheck this one so that I can see the panel properly. Uncheck them, select the panel, look at the panel, so drag it, just paste it right here. Yeah, something like that. Let's see the image. Okay, the panel is a bit wider than the image, so let's make sure the panel is of the same size with the image. Right, that is fine. So look at the panel and the image, they are exactly of the same size now. All right, the next thing I want to do now is enable this text back. Now right click on the hierarchy area again. Let's go back to UI, select text, and that very text, I'm going to change that text to game over text. Game over text. And inside the game over text, I'm going to enter game over inside the text right here. There we go, there. And the font size of that, I'm going to make it about 40. That might be too small, too large, I don't know, but let's come straight to the font style. I'm going to make the font style bold and horizontal center and vertical center as well. So increase the size of that. As you can see, is kind of like, yeah, I think we can increase the size a little bit more. Let's go for about 60 and see. And still drag it. Yeah, I think he's gonna do the job. That's fine. Game over. So let's change the text of that game over to red as well. Something we can see properly. There we go. However, you see this game over text, we want to drag it and place it as the child of the panel. There. Okay, only if I uncheck this once will you be able to see the game over text. Let's uncheck that one as well. Look at that. That's nice. So bring this two back to life. There we go. Now time to put together some lines of code. So I'm going to right click here and let's select create and select C#. Then the name of that would be timer countdown. So that is the name of my script. Now drag this script, you see this very script, drag it and dump it inside the image, countdown image right there. Okay, select the countdown image. We should be able to see the timer countdown script right in there. Now select the timer countdown, click on open. Once the script opens up, as you can see, we're using 2022. Then we start putting together some lines of codes. Okay guys, the coding area is ready. And now the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that because I do need the UI library itself. So that's going to be using Unity Engine .ui. With that very library, we'll be able to take care of the image, the text, and the game object. So let's come right down here. Delete that. And I'm going to delete all of this for now as well. So right in here, the very first thing I'm going to do is to create a public variable. You can also use the serialized variable, but I'm going to be using public. Game object. Okay, that is more or less like the data type. I'm going to call that panel. Let's say panel. Right there. That is the name of my game object. Now the next public variable that is going to be for the image. So for the image, I'm going to call that countdown image. Let's say count. Yeah, we just call it count image, that's fine. There we go. Now the next one is going to be the text. So I'm going to go for public again. So in the case of the text, I'm just going to enter text in there, and that text is going to be known as timer text. Let's say timer text. There. And finally, the other public variable that is going to be for the duration, and counter. Let's call the next one counter. There we go. Now I have all my variables in place. Now let's start with this. The first thing we want the system to do is for the panel to be set active. So let's say dot set active. That will become false. There we go. So right at the beginning, the panel activation rules is false. Now the next thing is, you see this counter. Grab this counter. This counter is now going to take in the details, whatever we have inside duration, whatever value we have inside duration, paste it right there. Now that that is taken care of, you see the text, timer text. Timer text is now going to take in whatever value we have in here. But since it's a text, it has to be converted to, we have to convert it to string character. So let's say counter dot to string. There. I think this should be uppercase. There we go. Alright, that is taken care of. The next thing we now want to do is to get the, let's say start coroutine. Okay, and that is going to be time IEN, enter parenthesis, and there we go. Alright, so right underneath here now, since those ones are taken care of, I am now going to declare IE numerator. So let's say IE numerator, and the IE in numerator is going to be for the timer IE, or the time IE. So come right down here, then open up a curly braces. Now what we want to try and achieve in here is now to have a look at what is the value that we have inside the counter itself. Okay, so if that value is greater than 0, we want the following to happen. So let's use a while loop to do that. While counter is greater than and equals to 0, we want as follows. So we want the count image to get fill up, so I'm going to grab that. So paste that in there. So dot fill amount, and the fill amount is going to be equals the math f dot invest type, comma, and that is going to be the duration and the counter. Paste that in there and semicolon right here. There. In that case, the timer text will be equals whatever value we have inside the counter. So paste that right here. Now let's say read Just tap tab and just change that to new. Let's say return new. Return new. Let it wait for about 1 second, and the amount of time for it to wait will be 1 second. There we go. Alright, so wait for, let's say 4, okay, wait 4 seconds. Alright, so now that that is done, we now want to reduce the timer. So press enter, the counter. So we're gonna then say counter, this very one here, grab hold of that. That will be minus there. Now that is taken care of, or you can also say counter equals, that's minus equals 1, so subtract 1. Okay, it's the same thing as minus. Okay, now let's come right underneath here and create another method, and this very method I'm going to call it open counter panel. So enter parenthesis there, come right down, curly braces. The very first thing is for the timer counter text to be cleared there, and the second thing is, you see the panel dot set, that will become true. There we go. So change this to true there, and that is it. So it's not over yet. You see this open counter panel, I'm going to copy that, come right in here, okay, and just paste it right underneath it, enter semicolon. Now let's go to save, click on save. Have a good look at the lines of code, take it from the top and bring it right down there. Make sure it's saved. Alright, so check this out. This does not have any data type. That should have been float there. Let's see. Look here again, that a semicolon is missing there. Okay, let's save it one more time, and I'm just going to just look around again and make sure I'm on the right track. So I'm going to save that. Alright, so let's go straight into Unity editor. So in here, the first thing that I'm going to do again is make sure the image is selected. Okay, and I'm going to come straight to the inspector right here, scroll right down. You see where we have image source, come right down, the color is set, everything is set, but you see right here we have image type. Drop down the sample and let's select fill. You see the fill amount. The fill amount is 360, which means this will go round because it is clockwise here. I'm going to leave the fill origin as bottom, and here see the fill amount. Let's play around with that. Look at that. This is how it's going to work. Okay, and make sure it's clockwise, but if you want it anti-clockwise, check out what's going to happen there. I'm going to return it back to clockwise, and let's scroll right down again. I just want to make sure all of my variables are in there. Those are all my variables on the countdown image. So drag the panel, drop it right in there. Now drag the countdown image, drop it right here, and finally grab the countdown text, drop it right inside the text. And you see the duration, I'm going to make that about 20. So let's try it out. Decision time, click on run. Let's see. There we go. Check that out, guys. The timer is now counting. Look at that. So let's see how far you can run before the timer ends. You see that, guys? That is how you create your own timer in game over. That's how you create your own timer in timer countdown in Unity. So let's run it one more time, end that, and click on run. There we go. It's now counting down. There we go, guys. Look at that. That is beautiful. So with that, guys, I'm going to call it the end of this tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoyed, and please do subscribe to my channel, and you can also join to become a member of the channel. You all have a nice day now, and bye for now.